The desert sun had barely begun its slow crawl over the horizon when the convoy rumbled toward forward operating base Kingswell. Dawn light spilled across the sand like molten gold, catching the edges of armored vehicles and casting long, sharp shadows across everything they passed. Dust clouds swirled behind the tires, hanging in the air like a curtain for the new day's beginning. Inside the third vehicle of the lineup, sitting perfectly straight despite the bumps and rattles, was the one woman everyone would soon be talking about, Sergeant Aria Hale. She didn't look like much to the untrained eye. Compact build, dark ponytail, green eyes that rarely blinked, and a calm expression that bordered on unreadable. But anyone who had served long enough knew that the most dangerous soldiers were often the quietest. Aria didn't come to this base to prove anything. She came because the order was given, and she followed orders. That was it. The vehicle halted in front of the base gates with a jolt, and the doors swung open. The soldiers spilled out first, but Aria stepped down with the quiet precision of someone who'd done this hundreds of times before. The base itself was already waking up. Soldiers jogged in tight formations, instructors barked commands, and mechanics worked on armored trucks with tools clattering rhythmically against metal. Aria took it all in with a single sweep of her gaze. FOB Kingswell wasn't the largest installation she had served on, but it was one of the most intense. This base wasn't for regular training, it was a staging ground for advanced tactical drills, special operations simulations, and strategic planning. Only the best ended up here. As she walked toward the main briefing tent, she felt eyes on her. Not hostile, not mocking, just curious. New arrivals had that effect, especially when they weren't what people expected. A pair of privates whispered to each other as she passed, glancing once at her rank patch and then at her expressionless face. She ignored them. At the entrance to the operations tent, a tall woman with braided blonde hair stood waiting. Corporal Dana Rowe, sharp, efficient, and known for never sugarcoating anything, gave Aria a curt nod. "You Hale?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." "Good, you're with me. The CO wants us in the planning session ASAP." Aria followed her inside. The tent's interior was a world of controlled chaos, gear stacked in rows, maps pinned to every vertical surface, radios buzzing with chatter, operators moving from one table to another as if every second mattered. The smell of sand, oil, and sweat filled the air. At the center of the tent stood the man everyone respected and feared in equal measure, Lieutenant Colonel Reeves. Built like someone carved him out of quarry stone, Reeves had decades of experience etched into every line on his face. He didn't raise his voice often, he didn't need to. When he spoke, people listened. He looked up from the map table as Aria and Dana approached, eyes narrowing slightly. "You're the new arrival," he said, his voice calm but carrying authority. "Yes, sir." Dana stepped in. "Sergeant Hale is assigned to the recon planning unit for this cycle." Reeves studied Aria for a moment, the kind of examination that made most soldiers shift uncomfortably. Aria didn't move. "We'll see if your file matches your performance," he finally said. "Grab a place. We're finalizing the morning operation layout." Aria moved to the table, unfolding the large topographical map that dominated the space. Dana stood beside her, already pointing at a marked route traced in red ink. "This is today's drill," Dana explained quietly. "High-intensity navigation, tactical movement, and real-time radio recon. They're pushing us hard this cycle." Aria nodded, taking in every detail: elevation lines, terrain markers, potential blind zones, entry points. It was second nature to her. A soft murmur rippled through the tent as other soldiers began to notice the new face at their planning table. Some looked skeptical, others indifferent. A few, especially among the senior ranks, watched her with mild curiosity, but Aria didn't care. She hadn't come here to impress anyone. She came because she had a job to do, and by the end of the day, every soldier in this tent would know exactly who she was and why she was sent here. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as the operations tent filled with soldiers, their boots thudding against the reinforced flooring in a steady rhythm. Aria Hale stood at the map table beside Corporal Dana Rowe, eyes scanning every contour line and route indicator. The murmurs from the others washed around her like background noise. Nothing could break her focus. Not now, not here. Lieutenant Colonel Reeves approached the table with the unhurried confidence of a man accustomed to having complete control. His boots stopped just inches from the map's edge. With a gloved finger, he tapped the eastern ridgeline marked in thick red. "This is your zone," he announced. "Recon Group Alpha will move out in staggered waves. Hale, Rowe, you're leading navigation and radio relay." A few eyebrows shot up. New arrival, first day, already handed a leadership slot. Someone in the back muttered under his breath, not quietly enough. They really putting the rookie up front. Dana heard it. Aria heard it. Reeves heard it. Only one of them reacted, and it wasn't Aria. Reeves' gaze snapped toward the back row like a missile locking on target. "You have something to say, Specialist?" he asked, voice smooth but cold. The Specialist swallowed hard, spine stiffening. "No, sir, good," Reeves said, turning back to the map, "because the only thing that matters out there is competence. I choose based on results, not chatter." He didn't need to look at Aria to make his point. She already knew the deal: perform or you're done. Reeves motioned for Dana and Aria to lean in closer as he spread out a second map, this one showing more detail: rivers, choke points, camouflage zones. "Enemy markers," he said, placing black tokens on the map, simulated, of course, but their tactics mimic real insurgent maneuvering. "You will navigate through these zones, relay positions, and guide the second team through safe corridors." Aria's eyes traced the potential ambush points. She studied the spacing between markers, the natural cover, the timing windows. Her mind began constructing possible routes faster than most officers could speak. Dana noticed the faint tension in Aria's jaw. "Looks intense, huh?" she whispered. "It's efficient." Aria replied calmly, "Efficient, clean, predictable, if you understood the terrain." Reeves continued, unaware, or perhaps very aware, of the two women analyzing the layout more deeply than the rest. "There will be 3 radio relays," he said. "Coordination must be flawless. If communication breaks, the entire drill collapses. Understood?" "Understood, sir," Aria answered without hesitation. Dana echoed her confidently. Reeves gave a short nod. "Good. Everyone else, take your assignments and gear up." The tent erupted into movement. Soldiers collected radios, maps, rifles, hydration packs. A controlled storm. Aria stayed still for a moment, reviewing the layout in her mind. Dana crossed her arms and observed her quietly. "You've already memorized it, haven't you?" Dana asked. Aria gave a slight shrug. "It's not complicated once you break it down." Dana smirked. "Not complicated. You should hear half these guys complain every time they look at topography lines." Aria didn't smile, but her eyes softened a little. They moved to the communications equipment laid out across the table: encrypted radios, spare batteries, signal boosters. Dana handed Aria a handset. "You run primary, I'll back you up." Aria checked the frequency, ensuring the encryption matched the code sheet. Her movements were crisp, practiced. Dana raised an eyebrow. "You've handled this exact model before," Dana guessed. "Yes. Where?" Aria paused for half a second. "Barely noticeable. Classified rotations." Dana didn't push. She didn't have to. That single sentence told her everything. Aria wasn't just good. She had been trained somewhere serious. While others chatted or joked as they prepared, Aria tuned out the noise. She loosened her shoulders, stretched her fingers, counted each piece of gear twice. Discipline radiated from her in a way that made even the more senior soldiers glance over curiously. Finally, Reeves returned, arms crossed. "Hale," he said, and she straightened. "You're leading the first navigation leg. Show them why command trusted you. No pressure, no emotion, just a direct order." Aria gave a sharp nod. "Yes, sir." Dana clapped a hand on Aria's shoulder. "Guess you're up first." As the soldiers began filing out of the tent, Aria took one last look at the map, a deep breath, then she stepped away from the table, boots landing firmly on the ground. She didn't come here for recognition. She came to execute, and as she walked out into the sunlight with Dana beside her, she felt every eye shift her way, not out of doubt anymore, but out of anticipation. Whatever happened next, she was ready. The air outside the operations tent was crisp with Earl. A morning cold, but the base was already alive with noise. Boots pounding the ground, instructors shouting times, metal clanging as soldiers checked their weapons and packs. Aria Hale stepped into the sunlight with Dana Rowe at her side, both geared up and ready for Recon Group Alpha's first movement. Ahead of them, the obstacle course sprawled like a gauntlet of grit and pain, stacked barriers, rope climbs, sand pits, raw lanes, and the towering wooden wall that had humbled hundreds of soldiers before them. For most, this was a warm-up. For newcomers, it was a trial by fire. Alpha team, line up. An instructor barked, his voice echoing across the course. Aria and Dana fell into formation, surrounded by soldiers who alternated between skeptical glances and outright challenge. One man, broad-shouldered, square-jawed, gave Aria a smirk. "You sure you can keep up, new girl?" he asked. Dana rolled her eyes. "She'll outrun you before you hit the first barricade, Mason." The man's specialist Mason snorted. "We'll see." Aria didn't respond. Trash talk didn't matter. Performance did. Lieutenant Colonel Reeves arrived moments later, arms crossed as he surveyed the group. His presence alone tightened spines and sharpened focus. "Today's drill," Reeves announced, "is designed to test coordination, endurance, and decision-making under pressure. You will move through the obstacle course, complete the navigation sequence, and establish 3 radio relay points, all under timed conditions." He paused, letting the weight of the challenge settle. "This isn't about speed," he added. "It's about precision. One mistake, and the whole chain collapses." He looked directly at Aria, not unkindly, but not softly either. Hale leads the first leg. A ripple of reaction spread through the formation, a few groans, a few mutters, but Reeves didn't care, and neither did Aria. "Move out," Reeves commanded. A sharp whistle split the air. And they were off. Aria launched forward, boots pounding the dirt with controlled rhythm. The first obstacle, stacked concrete blocks, required quick footing. She cleared them with efficient, spring-like steps. Dana followed close behind, breathing steady and controlled. Mason, eager to prove a point, pushed hard to overtake Aria. He surged beside her, grin wide, tried to keep his foot caught on a loose stone. He stumbled. Aria didn't break stride. She simply pivoted, shifted her weight, and moved around him with smooth precision. By the time he recovered, she was already several paces ahead. Dana chuckled. Told you. The next obstacle was the rope climb. Soldiers leapt, grabbed, and hauled themselves upward. Aria gripped the rope and ascended in fluid, quick motions. No wasted energy, no hesitation. Dana moved just as efficiently. At the top, Aria paused long enough to scan the course ahead. The sun reflected off sandbanks and steel, creating heat shimmer even this early. She dropped down the far side, landing lightly. The low crawl lane awaited, 15 meters of mud, gravel, and barbed wire overhead. Aria dropped into the dirt and pushed forward, elbows digging, legs driving. Gravel scraped her uniform, mud smeared her gloves, but she kept moving at a steady, tactical speed. Dana stayed close, both of them slicing through the lane like they'd done it 100 times before. Behind them, Mason cursed loudly as barbed wire snagged his sleeve. Aria didn't look back. The towering wooden wall came next 10 feet tall, slick with earl, a morning condensation. It stopped many soldiers cold. But Aria approached it without slowing. She sprinted, planted her foot on the midpoint plank, and launched upward. Her fingers caught the top edge. She pulled herself up with explosive strength, swung one leg over, and dropped down the backside in seconds. Dana followed, needing only half a second more. Reeves, watching from a distance, raised an eyebrow. Alpha Team was supposed to move as a unit, yet Aria and Dana were already leading by a substantial margin. When the course ended, Aria didn't pause to catch her breath. She immediately unslung her map pouch, radio, and compass. Navigation point 1 is Northeast Ridge, she said. Dana nodded. Let's move. They sprinted off the course, transitioning seamlessly into the next phase of the drillter, rain navigation under pressure. Behind them, the rest of Alpha Team stumbled out of the obstacle zone, panting, scratched, and clearly struggling to keep up. Mason finally reached the end, hands on his knees, gasping. He watched Aria and Dana disappear into the scrubland. That's not normal, he muttered. Reeves glanced at him. No, he agreed, it's not. He turned back toward the ridge. But that's why she's here.